as a kid who was born in 1994, all right, I never seen OJ play with my own eyes, all right? The only thing I grew up knowing about OJ was him running in the Bronco and then something else. As a matter of fact, you know what's crazy? OJ Simpson was running away in the Bronco the same day I was born. They made a whole documentary about that day, June 17th, 1994. I think it's on Netflix or something. I don't know where it's at. Or it was on demand. Maybe Stars made it. But rest in peace. That man GG Spam F to pay respects. Spam X to not pay. Anyway, let's get into this video, see what they talking about.
Nowadays, when you hear the name OJ Simpson, there's just...
So somebody go check on Khloe Kardashian, man. She is in our prayers today as she has lost her. Hey, Chris, I'm joking. It was a joke, okay?
No way that you think of the football player who dominated the running back position in the early 1970s. And if you haven't been asleep for the last 30 or so years, you would know that OJ Simpson went to trial for the double murder of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. And everything surrounding this trial, including OJ not showing up to court and going on a low-speed chase in the white Ford Bronco, as well as the eventual trial, where OJ
they were while I was being born, they was watching this in the hospital, bruh. Real facts.
Ruled not guilty on both counts of murder, became some of the most iconic pop culture moments in American history, and for all the wrong reasons. And OJ did end up going to prison for a robbery that took place in late 2007. But many people who are not old enough to remember the OJ Simpson trial mistakenly think that this prison time had anything to do with the murder trial, but it actually did not at all. And finally, on June 20th, 2017, OJ Simpson was granted release with parole.
How long was he in jail?
From parole in December 2021 for good behavior. Now, I give you all this background that many are probably familiar with to say that OJ Simpson clearly was not a great guy. And even going back since 1989, the dude clearly had some issues. No matter how you feel about it, though, the man is an NFL Hall of Famer and was probably the greatest running back of his era. And I wanted to take a deeper look into the career that was so great and so legendary that the NFL Hall of Fame felt that they could not tell the story of the National Football League's history without including OJ Simpson. Orenthal James Simpson was born on July 9th, 1947 in San Francisco, California, and was later almost exclusively referred to as OJ. He got into a lot of trouble in his teenage years, but started taking athletics more seriously after MLB legend Willie Mays talked to him and forced him to reflect on himself as a man. Simpson was all city at Galileo High and decided to attend college instead of joining the war effort in Vietnam after a close friend of his sustained a very bad injury, which persuaded OJ.
See, he picked the wrong thing. He should have went to the military, my man. He had the skill set for both, okay? But hey, man,
to not pursue that lifestyle. After dominating in JUCO, OJ was able to transfer to USC and absolutely shined. And OJ was legitimately one of the greatest college athletes of all time.
That's crazy.
There. Before even playing a down of football at USC, OJ ran track and field, where he broke the world record in the 4x110 yard relay. And in 1967, OJ led all running backs in the nation in yards with 1,543 and also had 13 touchdowns on that season, but was snubbed for the Heisman by UCLA quarterback Gary Babin.
We don't even know Gary Babin these days, but whose numbers were better, him or Reggie Bush? It said 13 touchdowns. I feel like Reggie Bush had to have more than that.
OJ used this as fuel and went on to have one of the greatest Heisman seasons of all time, rushing for almost 1,900 yards, 23 touchdowns, and won the Heisman by a shocking 1,750 votes. And that is the biggest margin of victory for the Heisman Trophy. It was of all time before 2019 when Joe Burrow won it by 1,860 votes. But to put that into perspective, OJ received 855 first place votes for the Heisman Trophy
That's
that year.
crazy.
While the other 8 players that received votes for this award that year had a combined 147 first place votes. And at the end of it all, it was not even a question of who would be drafted first in 1969. And the Buffalo
First
Bills
overall
did end up
pick.
getting the pick and got to draft OJ with the first pick. The first few seasons of OJ's NFL career were surprisingly average, but coming into the league, OJ did not have a great situation at all, as the 1968 Bills had only won 1 game out of 14 played.
Hold on,
that
was
year.
he on the Bills team that went to the Super Bowl like 4 times in a row and lost 4 years in a row?
And OJ did not get much opportunity to shine, as all of his coaches before Lou Saban wanted to split the backfield and split carries between multiple running backs, which is actually pretty similar to what a lot of teams try and do nowadays. But at that time, this was not ideal to OJ's playing style. And after only putting up 1,800 yards
my man is
through 3
trucking.
years, OJ finally broke out in his 4th season, after new head coach Lou Saban decided to put more
2,000
emphasis on
rushing
OJ
yards.
as the main running back in the backfield, letting him get more touches and using his combination of power and speed to take over games. He ended up rushing for 1,251 yards, which led the NFL and got OJ on his
6
very
rushing
first
touchdowns though. That's
All-Pro
pretty mid.
first
I ain't
team.
gonna lie.
And what OJ did the very next year might never be done again, as in 1973, OJ Simpson rushed for 2,003 yards.
Hold up, this is the thing. Adrian Peterson, he missed it by like 4 yards or something, right? Against
12 touchdowns.
Who are they playing? Like the Saints?
Averaging a ridiculous 143
That's
yards per
crazy.
game, which is still the most of all time to this very day. Simpson won the MVP award in 1973, wrapping up one of the greatest NFL seasons of all time. For the next few years, OJ continued to dominate and
San
put up
Francisco?
over 1,000 yards every single year, including his 1975 campaign, which could be argued to be better than his 1973 campaign, because he actually had more yards from scrimmage with 2,243 and 23 total touchdowns, which is 11 more than in 1973. But he ended up losing out the MVP to Vikings legend quarterback Fran Tarkenton, who led
I don't know
Minnesota
who that
to a
is,
12-2 record. 1976
Peterson's the
was
closest.
OJ's last dominant season, as
That's
he rushed
crazy.
for 1,500 yards and 8 touchdowns. But just like every other year he had in Buffalo, they did not have much success and finished 3rd in the AFC East.
He was really
In
carrying that team.
1977, OJ had an injury that cut his season short and really was the mark of the end of OJ Simpson's era in the NFL, as he was traded to San Francisco for a big haul and got to play out the last few years of his career in his home state. OJ Simpson retired in
he's from California,
1979,
too? I didn't even know
leaving the
that.
game as the clear best running back of his era and rushing for almost 2,000 more yards in the 70s decade than the runner-up Franco Harris. And in 1985, OJ Simpson was inducted into the Football Hall of Fame as a first ballot guy. And to put this into perspective, OJ was a shoo-in as soon as he retired, much like somebody like Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers will be.
Do they still got OJ Simpson up in the the Hall of Fame?
They retire. The Juice retired with 11,000.
7 years, okay. Oh no, 10 years. My bad. Know what kind of numbers I'm counting. He averaged about 1,000, about 1,000 and some change. 6 touchdowns a season though. That's pretty mid.
326 yards.
And that's back when they had 13 games, or it was 16, or was it? I don't
61
know.
touchdowns, as well as 5 first-team All-Pro selections and 6 Pro Bowl selections. And he was also one of the most beloved pro football players that the NFL had ever seen.
And how did he turn to this?
While we all know the OJ Simpson story did not have a happy ending, and in all honesty, it had anything but a happy ending, as one of America's heroes for kids who grew up in the 60s and 70s, ended up becoming a monster in the public eye and a murderer in most people's eyes. It's actually crazy
No,
how
OJ
a football
doesn't
player
have the
became
record.
a
Eric
footnote in the
Dickerson
life of
has
OJ
the most
Simpson.
rushing yards in the
As
season.
before the
Okay.
trial, that was likely the only thing most people knew about him. Many people who believe OJ did do it say that he was one of the first cases you could point to and say that it was a direct result of CTE. And one doctor in 2016 even said they would bet their medical license on OJ having CTE, which makes a lot of sense.
But there's no way. Yeah, okay, maybe it was CTE, but ain't no way this man trolled the way he did after the fact. And wasn't one of the Kardashians, like Kim Kardashian's father, was his lawyer, right?
Because him having all those carries in a physical era like the 1970s is prone to giving you brain damage. I mean, all those hits, all those and big hits, you're getting the ball every play and you're expected to put your head down. This is before targeting, before all of that stuff. And if a guy like Aaron Hernandez had severe CTE and he played in the 2000s and 2010s, I mean, I can just imagine what OJ's brain looks like. But honestly,
Yeah, the
making
pops
this
was a
video
lawyer.
as
That's what I
someone who
thought.
did not watch OJ play and was not around for the trial, it was a very eye-opening because as a football fan, this man was literally the best player for an entire decade, but we almost have to ignore it because of his actions off the field long after he finished playing. But anyways, that's all I have for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Bro, he might be in the Hall of Fame, but they do be erasing that man out of the conversations when it comes up about the history of the NFL. Bro, they move that boy right out the way. Now, Aaron Hernandez, they tried, but he's connected to Tom Brady, so it's kind of hard. But I don't even think they won that year when they had Aaron Hernandez. Don't got no championships, does he? Because he was on there the year they lost to the Giants, I think.
Because I learned a lot while making this video, and I don't really have any opinions about OJ off the field. Like I said earlier, he definitely had some stuff going on. He was definitely a crazy man, and I obviously understand why he is not remembered by most for his football career, and we should probably keep it that way. But I did want to shed a little light on the career of OJ Simpson and kind of how crazy it all is just because of how great a football player he was, that he ended up being a psychopath. But leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and stay tuned for more.
He seemed pretty decent though. He had some records. He was a Hall of Fame. Now, I seen on Twitter people was like, yo, white people about to put something on the grill today after the OJ news. And all I want to say is, man, listen, I like my hot dogs a little burnt, Listen, if y'all got any of that Kraft mac and cheese, I'm good on that, okay? But you get some Bush's baked beans, I'm in there. If y'all throwing something on the grill for celebration, call the boy, okay?